On June 28, 2025, just as Dazhou Province began to recover from one devastating flood, a second wave of catastrophic flooding struck with merciless force. In Rongjiang County, torrential rains returned more violently than before. At the same time, upstream hydropower stations discharged massive volumes of water, sending shockwaves of destruction through already broken communities. Sirens blared and emergency broadcasts rang through the streets, warning residents to evacuate. But there was little time. People ran, carrying elderly parents and small children, clutching whatever valuables they could gather. Panic engulfed villages and towns. They had barely begun to clean the mud from their homes, and now, once again, they were being swallowed by rising water. The Dazhou River surged past safe levels, reaching a terrifying peak of 253.5 meters. The official response level was raised to the highest alert. Entire districts were placed under mandatory evacuation. People watched in disbelief as water consumed their roads, homes, memories. In some areas, floodwaters moved too fast for emergency teams to reach in time. Streets turned into rivers. Tashi Township vanished under brown torrents. In Leishan County, neighboring communities faced the same wrath. Children cried in fear, families clung to rooftops, and volunteers rushed to pull strangers from chest-deep currents. The flood spared no one. And the cause? Not just nature, but repeated, massive water releases from upstream dams. People in Rongjiang know the price of living at the confluence of three rivers. When the Pingyong, Dulyu, and Zhaihao rivers collide during storms, there is no escape. These rivers were once lifelines. Now they are threats. Every dam discharge, meant to protect one area, unleashes chaos downstream. The tragedy in Rongjiang was just one chapter in a much larger nightmare. On July 18th, just days later, in Ningxia, another family faced horror. Li Mumu had taken his wife and 2 children camping in their car. As storms brewed overnight, he decided to head home. But visibility was poor, and they unknowingly entered a flood channel near an overpass. A wall of water surged down, slamming into their vehicle. In seconds, the car was engulfed. Li survived. His wife and children were swept away. Their cries were lost in the roaring flood. No time to react. No chance to save them. And for Li, no way to move on. He still stands at the edge of those waters, clutching his child's muddy bracelet, whispering, "I just want to bring them home." While Ningxia mourned, southwestern China continued to drown. In Sichuan, red alerts stretched across Luzhou, Yibin, Leshan, and more. Rain fell with a vengeance, 160 millimeters in a day. Some areas recorded 70 millimeters in a single hour. The numbers sound clinical, but behind them are broken bridges, crumbled homes, and terrified families. From Yunnan to Chongqing, landslides buried villages. In Mingshan and Yun, thunder rumbled as hillsides collapsed. Water surged through homes. People scrambled to escape, grabbing loved ones and praying they wouldn't be the next to vanish. Cities became oceans. Staircases flowed like waterfalls. The familiar turned alien. In Shuangfu, Chongqing, just 90 minutes of rainfall drowned the entire town. Cars floated like toys. Residents waded through knee-deep filth. Apartment basements disappeared underwater. Public buses filled to the seats with water. One woman cried, "I only went to buy bread. When I came back, my house was gone." Further east, in Hezi, Shandong, the heat wave gave way to a different terror. Temperatures had hit 39 degrees Celsius just days before. Now, the city lay submerged. Floodwaters poured into homes, and some buildings began pouring water out. Chaos reigned. Traffic lights blinked from underwater. Everything people had worked for washed away. And in the south, Typhoon Wipha struck with winds of 118 kilometers per hour, smashing through Guangdong and Hainan. Trees snapped like twigs. Roofs flew. Entire farmlands vanished under the deluge. Rice, vegetables, fish, th. In Yangjiang, Jiangmen, and Maoming, windows shattered. Walls cracked. Emergency crews struggled to even begin the cleanup. Roads were blocked. Power lines fell. The storm flooded metro stations, and landslides cut off villages. Hailing Island and Taishan became ground zero. Residents awoke to howling winds and water invading every crevice of their lives. Farmers wept at destroyed crops. Parents feared for their children. It wasn't just a storm, it was trauma. And this all came as Hubei and Hunan battled one of their worst disasters in recent memory. In a night of horror, a major dam collapsed after days of unrelenting rain. The floodwaters surged downstream with unstoppable force. Cities in both provinces became waterworlds. Streets disappeared. Bridges crumbled. Railways were submerged. Wuhan, a major industrial hub, shut down. Metro stations flooded. Highways became rivers. Power stations and water treatment facilities failed. Drinking water ran low. Entire districts were cut off. Rescue teams in boats struggled to reach those trapped. Time was life, but time was also running out. In Hunan, the agricultural heartland faced ruin. Rice paddies drowned. Fish farms washed away. Irrigation systems destroyed. Entire harvests lost. In villages along riverbanks, homes were swept away in minutes. Livelihoods shattered. Families displaced. And still the rain came, as dam after dam released water to survive the deluge. Emergency sirens echoed daily. Makeshift sandbag walls lined rivers. The battle between man and nature raged with every storm. Relief teams worked around the clock. Tents rose in schools and stadiums. People slept on floors, living on noodles and bottled water. Still they held on. Still they hoped. Environmental teams were dispatched to test water quality. With so many chemical plants and factories inundated, there were fears of toxic contamination. Entire industrial zones in both Hubei and Hunan suffered massive losses. From chemicals to electronics, the economic toll is staggering, but the human toll is immeasurable. Throughout these regions, from the urban towers of Wuhan to the quiet valleys of Rongjiang, one truth remains. The people refuse to give up. Firefighters, soldiers, volunteers, they keep digging, rowing, searching. Even when the odds are crushing. Even when the rain won't stop. Typhoon Wipha weakened inland, but its wounds remain fresh. Power crews work night and day to restore electricity. Teachers reopen schools and shelters. Communities rebuild inch by inch, even as more storms approach. Every act of courage, every neighbor helping neighbor, is a thread holding the country together. Climate scientists warn that this isn't over. The typhoon season is growing more violent. Rainfall more unpredictable. Dam infrastructure more strained. Yet through the sorrow and debris, the resilience of the people of China shines. From the mountains of Sichuan to the plains of Shandong, they rise again. In the eyes of a father still searching for his lost children. In the hands of a mother scooping water from her flooded home. In the strength of a firefighter pulling strangers to safety. There is pain, but also unbreakable spirit. This is not just a season of loss. It is a season of survival. Across villages and cities, temples and mosques, people light candles for the missing. They share warm meals with displaced families. Children play in shelters, unaware of the full weight of what they've endured. Hope grows where despair tries to take root. Nature may be unrelenting, but so is human compassion. Stories of heroism emerge every day. An elderly woman carried on a stranger's back, a rescue dog pulling a toddler from the mud, a teenager giving up their blanket for a neighbor. In darkness, light still burns. The government has pledged recovery aid. But recovery is more than infrastructure. It's rebuilding hearts, restoring memories, reigniting purpose. Every flooded street will be cleared. Every shattered home will be rebuilt. Every lost voice will be remembered. For now, the nation remains on alert. Rain continues. Rivers rise. But people prepare. With sandbags, with flashlights, with faith. Together, they face each storm. And together, they will emerge stronger. This is not the end of the story. It is a chapter written in courage. From Rongjiang to Wuhan, from Ningxia to Guangdong, China stands not only in sorrow but in solidarity. No one is forgotten. No tragedy is too distant. We are all connected. So to the people digging through mud, to the families waiting for news, to the children without homes, We see you. We mourn with you. And we believe in you. Even in the worst floods, humanity floats. Let these waters not wash away our unity. Let every tear remind us to care deeper. Let every loss teach us to prepare better. Because the future must not be one of fear, but of resilience. So hold on. The sun will rise again. The rains will pass. The waters will recede. And through the cracks of this storm, flowers will bloom once more. Together we will rebuild. Because when the waters rise, so do we.